What's up everyone, Omar here, and I just want to make a really quick video. I'm currently packing up to go to World's Strongest Man to shoot for my client, SBD Apparel, cover a bunch of their athletes. Third year in a row, a lot of fun, love it every year, but I wanted to show you what my rig is when I go to a lot of these events on the Canon R5C specifically. See, I'm shooting on a 1.4, so I want to make sure it's in focus. Absolutely love this thing, and I'm going to link you to the video of the guy who put it together. His name is Kamaki, amazing creator, really good cinematographer. Highly recommend you subscribe to him if you don't already. He put out a video almost a year ago that solved a problem a lot of us were having where we had like the small camera, but we had really bulky kits. The R5C famously has terrible battery life, and he helped us solve that problem by concocting this rig, giving us the ability to mount this in a compact fashion rather than using one of those really large horizontal battery plates, which is what I was using prior from Tilta. And it works. It works very well. It's brilliant. I made a few slight modifications for personal use. I have this tripod base just so I can put it down between events, but it's nice. It's very well balanced. And it is, look at that in my face. And it's been the best solution for all small form factor, like cage rigs, whatever you want to call them. It's great because, especially with these newer batteries now, they all have PD power in them. So this powers not only the camera, but also the monitor. And something like this with a 98 watt hour, which is the maximum that you can fly with the exception of like, you can go above that, but it's very limited quantities and you don't want to get like, honestly, the whole battery situation super annoying flying. But anyway, the point is that this gets me through maybe 5 or 6 hours. The two of them covers me pretty well for a day. I also have the 50 watt hour batteries that actually give me around the same runtime when I'm not using a monitor, and it's good when you want to keep a really small footprint, like if you're in the city or if you're in a really crowded convention center or something. It's just really handy to have something with a very small footprint, especially if you're not looking to draw attention to yourself. But yeah, this is the rig. I'll toss some B-roll just showing some of the details. It's been super handy. No one has come out with a solution until now. I'm going to link Kamaki's video on how he pieced this thing together because A, it reflects how a lot of us really should start thinking when we're trying to solve a problem, and B, if anyone deserves affiliate sales for coming up with this, it is absolutely him. I refuse to put this in my description below. But in my description will be the link to his channel. Definitely check it out. And if I can figure out how to use these note cards, I'll have it pop up here somewhere too. Now, these came in hours before I'm supposed to fly, and I'm actually really psyched to use them. I tested them out already. That's why this one's out of the box. But this is their solution. Works well with pretty much all mirrorless cameras. They have a little Arca Swiss plate that I'll talk about in a second. And for the R5C, I actually thought that, oh, they're so dumb. They released something and it has like the bump there. This extends. So I was the dumb one. But this is effectively the perfect solution. It's exactly what all of us have been looking for. It's small enough to fold into your pocket, which you never will since you'll have a V-mount. But what's nice about this is that you don't need the built-up base here, which previously you didn't really have any other options if you wanted to rock a setup like this. And I can literally just pop my camera in its cage onto this and mount the V-mount here and I'm good to go. Now, this is pretty direct as far as how to use it goes. Loosen this up and allows you to kind of like move this little buffer to keep the battery further away, which I like because another problem, not like a problem, but just a minor inconvenience is that when you bring this up, you see how the cable like just pushes into the eyepiece. Just not a fan of that personally. But yes, going back to this, it also comes with this thing that I've literally never used and have 4,000 of. So if you have a use for these, congratulations, you got a new one. This is the locking plate for the Arca Swiss. Now we're going to talk about this real quick. So for me, all I have to do to actually transfer this over is unscrew that, slide my setup off, and here. This is good because it gives you an opportunity to see what the base setup is right now. Now, I love this tripod, and I use it on everything, but let me show you what the actual cage itself is, or the rig itself is. So essentially, there's this base plate halfway through. You can probably stick the whole thing in if you're not going to use any rods, which honestly I only use the rods because, you know, I have the real estate for it. But you slide these in, you lock them in, and this mounts this little rotating battery plate thing. And you have to just figure out an angle that works. This is the one that works on this battery with my setup. I'm still going to be keeping this setup because it is better if you use like a heavier lens and you do need rod support. This is something where this is lacking a bit, but you can also integrate the two, which I will in a second. So let's go with removing this, since this is kind of like the centerpiece right here. Like I said, it was a great solution to a problem that we had. And now it's just like what feels like way later than it should have. The manufacturer has actually provided us with a solution. The solution, like mostly for the R5C in all honesty, the other small form factor cameras like the FX3 and whatnot, I think their battery life is pretty good and tolerable. R5C, it's horrendous, but I mean, I get it. You still want to use it as a camera, and you also don't want it to be a larger form factor, larger batteries. You want to keep the cost down, so I get it, but also, got a couple of thoughts on the camera. We'll save that up for another video. Okay, so here's the replacement. Nice and compact. Let's start from here. Loosen it up, open it up. Well, for this one, I'm gonna extend it, tossing the camera on. The one thing that I like about this, I know it's so minor, I just like that nothing is touching the eyepiece. That was just something that always bothered me. You have the spacing here. I like that. I like taking care of my stuff. It's now mounted this way as well. If you want to loosen it, you want to drop it, flip the screen out or something. Loosen this, drop it, lock it. When I have it on the tripod, this is probably going to be the position that I keep it in, just so, even lower. Just so I can freely move the screen if need be. Here's this setup now. Let me just plug all the cables back in. And now that's it. Your rig is done. It's done. This is a lot thinner. Oh, this is definitely off. What did I do? I'm sorry. That's my bad. You actually have to pull this lever. So this is now the rig. This is considerably more compact only because you don't need the chunkier base for it to work. That being said, this base still comes in pretty handy. I'm probably still going to use it on my A cam, and I'll keep my backup on the side. Something to note though, so this piece, let me go ahead and open the other one. So let's talk about this thing now. I don't need this anymore. Okay, so there is, as one would note, a built-in Arca Swiss plate here, which I thoroughly enjoy. I do love built-in plates. Arca Swiss is the most common tripod people have, especially when they're mobile, and this is like a really, really portable setup, so it makes sense over a Manfrotto plate. And then you have this kind of somewhat proprietary Arca Swiss plate. It doesn't work on my tripod, but it does work on, for this here. And there's a reason why you need it. It comes with 2 screws. I feel like it should come with 3, but we'll get into that in a second. Now I'm gonna grab my other camera because I don't feel like taking this apart. Hold on. All right, so these newer cages, let's actually use this camera. They have these built-in Arca Swiss plates, and you see how it's open from the side? So this is what allows me to slide this in. And now that's not a problem at all. Now, if you have a camera, let's put this guy down. So what's the problem, right? Well, the thing is, the older where's my cage? The older cages, the Gen 1 and Gen 2 cages, I call them. I don't know if they have any official number. This is the one that never came with a screw. This is for my XT3. This is the newer one that has like that little round screw built in, and I think it's pretty consistent among all of them. But because this isn't open, like you have the actual part of the cage here on both ends, and they all seem to be this way, you can't mount this. And there's not enough give here for you to slide it in like you would normally pop it into an Arca Swiss head. So you can't do that, and I thought that was really odd. But then suddenly this thing made sense. So what you do is you mount it onto the screw. I'm going to recommend you get one of those quarter adapters to make this work so it's nice and secure, because one screw is definitely not going to cut it, and then like the spacing is weird. But here's what I did. This is my original XT3 that I will never sell. I mounted it onto the cage, which means that you can also mount it off the cage. I just wouldn't recommend it. I recommend keeping everything in the cage so it's protected and you're not putting stress with this weird screw on the tripod thread. But now, because I have that, this is now no longer a problem. It's also somewhat, it's also really secure because it has these two little safety buffers there. But yeah, if you have an XT3 or something, this is what it can look like. It's super compact still, very handy. So, and what I like about this is that it means that you can pretty much buy this and then just bring it to whatever camera system you end up switching over to at any point in time. So really good, really well-designed product. Took a while to get here, but I'm happy it's here. Yeah, and I just want people to know that it exists. With this current setup, now I could just do this and call it a day, and honestly, that's probably what I'm going to do for the majority of the time when I'm shooting this week, because it's nice and compact and it's light. It doesn't get more portable than this. But honestly, if you don't have one of these tripods, these are one of the few purchases that I've made throughout my career that were definitely worth the money, and I probably would have paid like a little more if the price ever went up. All right, so you remember this part of the old rig? So now, this Arca Swiss plate, it's built in, so I can just slide this in here. Also, I'm curious how the autofocus is performing right now on the camera I'm recording myself on. It's the XH2S, which I've been very happy with. But with the 1.4 16 mil, the old one, which has notoriously horrible autofocus, but I think it's been okay so far, which is great because I'm tired of buying lenses for stuff. And I wasn't a fan of how the 1024 looked in this place. It's really small. All right, so yeah, going back to this, you want to center it, lock it in, raise this, and that god-awful, that on-lens control ring that I don't know about any other Canon RF shooters I've never used, but it's there. And probably adds $500 to the cost of every lens. And now, if you want your camera to look a little more professional in front of a client, which I swear to God is a real thing, maybe I'll talk about that one day. You don't really need a plate to balance it, but then, of course, I go back to the tripod right here. And I do have a little adapter there that is just for the Manfrotto plates. Otherwise, I'll probably pop that out. Oops, there goes that camera. But yeah, there you have it. This is going to be my main rig for shooting World's Strongest Man content this week. Very reliable, very sturdy, very compact. I'm really happy with this. I am going to drop some Amazon links down below. I saw it there, but you might actually get this faster if you order from SmallRig right now since this just came out. Go ahead, order it from them directly. I'm not going to hold it against you personally. That's the end of this video. I got to take everything apart and pack it into my Pelican case. If you're out in Myrtle Beach this week, definitely stop by, check out World's Strongest Man. And until next time, camera's too far away for me to put the cap on. Oh, all right. This is not going to be graceful at all.